Well, it's day 4 of this walk, and I've made it about 50 miles out of Vilnius. So I'm feeling good, which is a big thing for me. My body's really sore though, because I haven't been doing these kinds of miles. Like I did 20 miles yesterday, and I don't know if I want to be able to do another 20 miles today. I'm really tired, but so I have a lot of other video that I'm gonna upload probably when I get back to a computer because it's on an SD card. And there are just a few things I wanted to add. So when I made the last video I uploaded, I was in a hotel in Vilnius, and so I think I went back to bed. It gets light here very early in the morning, like 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And after I made that video, or the next morning, after I woke up, I can't remember if I went back to bed, but I was walking back from the hotel to the gate of dawn. I was going to start my walk directly from there. And while I was walking over there, I'd walked there the day before, but I was walking along the street and I looked in a doorway and I noticed there was just a sign in the doorway. It was just a pink piece of paper, and it had in big letters the name Pam, P-A-M. And, this is one of those things you're like, God, this guy's crazy. But for me, that's very significant. Like, that's my mom's name. You might see that. It'll bring back a memory of your mother. As it relates to the Camino and this way of St. James, when I last was walking on St. James Way in 2015, when I did the Camino Portuguese in Portugal, that was about a month after my mother passed away. And so I did that walk in many ways to sort of bring about a resolution of my relationship with my own mother. And so in those 6 years since that hike, it's been about 6-7 years almost, I've changed a significant amount, and I've had a number of different realizations about my relationship with my own family and about my own psychology and things like that. And I've mentioned it in a few recent of these videos that I have atypical neurology. I've a condition that was formerly called Asperger's syndrome. That is, but I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have a number of autistic traits. And so when I saw that, I think I initially said, oh, there's a reminder from my mom. But as I've been walking, I've been thinking more about a lot of the things that happened in my life, and my relationship with her, and growing up with agnosia and without an understanding of how different I am from other people. What happens to people who have autism like I do, who don't have an awareness, who don't have the self-awareness of the fact that they have a disorder or have significant differences from other people, is that it's easy to develop a lot of negative views about yourself. And it's like, throughout my life when I was a child, there was a period where these autistic traits were very prevalent. It's things like I verbally process. I'll often it seems like I'm talking to nobody or talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. I'm not talking to imaginary people, but I'll verbalize what I'm thinking. And it's odd. But as I was a child, I was kind of gaslighted. That's sort of a term, that autism, or people with mental illness will have people who outside of them are criticizing things and trying to get you to become something that you're not. Like I was always told that if I exhibited that autistic trait, that people would think I was crazy and not like me. And I mean, there is something to that, but like my mother never understood that that these were things about me, and that it's not a function of mental illness, it's a function of atypical neurology, and there's not a lot I can do about it. I mean, I can control some of this, but what happened in my life was the way in which that was approached. It caused me to have a lot of anxiety problems and other difficulties in life. And so, and I'm just coming back to this pilgrimage that I'm on. It was like a reminder. So the very first day, I was walking back to the gate of dawn, just starting this before I'd gotten to the point where I was starting, and I looked over and I saw that, and I thought went back to her. And as I've been walking, I started thinking, well, the last time you were on this way of Jacob, this way of James, of Iago, right? It was all about, you resolving things with your mom. And in the 7 years since then, I've developed a much better understanding of autism through work that I did with autistic teenagers and young adults. That was really what allowed me to see that, people who have autistic traits, and it was this weird sort of moment where I was like, well, that's what I do. Like, these other people who work here, they aren't also autistic. Like, I'm with these folks over here. And it was kind of a big awakening. It's there's a Japanese word called satori. And so satori in Japanese is developing an understanding of how you as an individual relate to and exist within and are a part of and function within society as a whole and other people, but understanding yourself accurately in the context of everything else. So it's like it's one of those words that has a much broader meaning, but it's a satori is what I've managed, which is really only remarkable to me. But I think it's if there's anything that I could maybe provide to other people from my experience, is that you can always improve your own understanding of yourself, and a better understanding of yourself will make you stronger and more able to cope with the adversities of life. So I'm here. I've made it about 50 miles from Vilnius now. And yesterday, in the morning, I found a really nice campsite. I'll post those videos, but my phone had died when I was camping there. But I got up into the national park, and there's lakes, and it's beautiful. I saw all kinds of birds, storks, and very large cranes, terns. I watched terns fishing in the lake, and had a really nice evening, really pleasant sleep. And yesterday morning, I took some time getting ready to walk out of camp, and I was just south of a little town on this lake. Not really. It's hard to really call it a town. It's a village, really. It's just there's like a shop, a church, a cemetery, and then a collection of houses. Maybe 400 or 500 people live there. I was walking on the edge of the lake, and I turned and I saw a marker, and I went to go look at it, and it was a mass grave. It was a marker from the Holocaust. And so this journey, it's just there's not many times I've had something like sort of just turned and had something so totally change the direction of my thought and how I felt. and thinking about the Holocaust and the horror that occurred around here, especially in this country, where of 200,000, 220,000 people who practice Judaism in Lithuania, almost all of them were murdered by the Germans and by other Lithuanians who collaborated with them. And it's such a horrid and convoluted history of this part of the world that is just so full of brutality. And so we've been hitting some deep thinking on this little walk. Yeah. So I'm really excited because I don't know what's next. Yeah. So anyway, so today, like, I'm gonna probably go get breakfast in like an hour. It's like about 6 o'clock in the morning, and gonna probably hike out from here. Got another maybe 100 miles to where I want to get to, and then having gotten to there, we'll make another assessment of how much time I have left. I have probably another 2 weeks I'm here, I think, and let's just see what we're gonna move on to from here. But just getting back to that incident where I saw a picture of my mom as I was doing this hike. It came back to me that I had walked this route in a different country, in Portugal, 7 years ago, after my mom passed away. And when I was doing that walk, I hadn't gotten to the point where I am now with understanding myself, seeing the codependent relationship I had with my relatives, and how I had developed into someone who I didn't really want to be. In some ways, it's a complicated thing because it's I don't know that I've even figured all of it out, but I was really struck by how there's been such a change in how I look at myself and look at where I am over in that 7-year period when I last walked this system of trails that go across Europe, and how it's almost like the trail or the way on the very first day that I came back to it, that the way was sort of waving at me saying, hey, I remember you. Last time you were walking on the Camino, it was right after your mom died. Hey, let's get back to that. How about? It's so I just it's remarkable.